Yeah, perfect. So thank you for joining. So I feel we can start, Natalia. So if you don't mind, so hey everyone, I'm Max. I'm head of adaptive finance. So actually, I'm personally responsible for payout acceleration from Apple and Google with adaptive finance product. And today we're gonna talk about AI apps, monetization, and how yeah, change the stuff changed already. And because, yeah, we have yeah, tokens, we have ongoing costs, we have extremely expensive auction on Meta and Google. And today, yeah, things like, yeah, things just doesn't work anymore like it was before. So yeah, today we're going to talk about it. So Natalia, can you please share some words about your experience, what you're doing today? Yeah, be free to share everything.
Yeah, of course. So my name is Natalia. Hi, everyone. I am a growth consultant and fractional head of growth, and my primary goal is to help subscription apps make more revenue and grow faster. I have 15 years of experience in tech, and for the last 7 years, I work specifically with the subscription mobile apps. Uh, in growth. So I had an extensive experience working with various apps, the classic ones, and also with more and more popular AI apps that have a very, very interesting economy model that is quite challenging to keep up with. But yeah, here we are today to discuss this topic.
Perfect, Natalia. So please give us some highlights of what actually changed, yeah, for the last couple of months and years.
Yeah, so initially, when the app store started, when I started working in tech, the main cost that the app developers experienced was the user acquisition cost. So everything after the user acquisition was pretty much flat. So we could plan for quite in advance. Some company even use like 24 months LTV calculation for their economy model, and it worked. It was absolutely profitable because you build the infrastructure once, and then supporting this infrastructure or extending this infrastructure is pretty much, yeah, flat price. But with OpenAI, the LLM models, and all the new tech, the products, the mobile products also evolved. And nowadays, we do use a lot of services that we need to pay per use, and our users also need to pay per use. So we started with something simple, like ChatGPT wrappers, like Plant ID apps, and things like this, that are, yeah, quite easy to implement and also quite easy to calculate. But now we have all sort of complex products that has very extensive AI token usage that has 100% in some cases dependencies on external APIs and external services that has to be paid for. And nowadays, we not only have to keep in mind and calculate the user acquisition cost, but also the actual cost of the user sections. And we used to live in a paradigm when having retention, long retention is actually good for us because we paid for users and then users stay with us and brings money. Nowadays, if user stays, probably they
This is a
spend
problem.
more money. Yes, and they cost us more and more and more. And this is like absolutely new thing that I think many of us weren't really prepared.
Yeah, definitely. I feel the same. So when we just try to calculate, yeah, unit economy, it just takes CAC and LTV, and it was pretty simple calculation.
Yeah.
But we have extremely high costs on tokens, and tokens are growing in price. So definitely we have to take it into consideration as well. Okay, so what we should do? So what is the answer here? So do you have average numbers first of all? What's the average cost on tokens in the usual model for AI apps? So is it an additional 20%, 40% cost, so or it's even more than subscription rates? Do you have some proportion of cost of on tokens in average?
Unfortunately, I cannot give you the average like right on top of my mind because it really varies depending on the product. So if you have like again, simple ChatGPT wrapper for like a very specific use case, probably your costs are quite minimal. I know guys who spend like, I don't know, 500 per month, and it covers pretty much everything for them because the usage is minimal. They optimize their token usage on the backend side. So yeah, it's all good. But for some of the niches, for some of the products, specifically when we talk about the content generation, about the video related AIs, the costs are insane. It might be like 10 cents per second, or $1.50 per second of generated video. That is absolutely insane. And like, how as a beginner, as a smaller publisher, you can manage these costs and include it into your economy model and into your LTV? This is like a very, very tricky question.
Yeah, exactly. So, and what from your experience we have to do in the case when we have a, for example, CAC and LTV ratio, like let's say 1.3, and you just don't have a margin at all, yeah, to pay this extreme cost, yeah. Now, so what we should do in your point of view?
Uh, this is a good question. I think this question more lays in an area of the user acquisition optimization rather than growth, I would say, because, yeah, first of all, we need to be somehow able to acquire our users. But again, as the smaller publishers, maybe it might sense to actually focus on some sort of organic user acquisition or social media to engage with an audience and to acquire users for lower price. Because yeah, if you cannot manage to acquire users profitable in the first place, then there is no way you would be able to unlock the growth. Or you need to look for some sort of external support, some sort of user acquisition marketing funding that might help you to kickstart and actually yeah, fuel your operations, fuel your user acquisition machine.
Mhm. Just based on this question, yeah, I want to push you to do hybrid monetization, yeah, and especially when we see that there is a tokens, yeah, price inside the product, and we have a hybrid monetization where we have subscription, yeah, with included tokens and now this stuff. So can you just highlight how it works, yeah, the best practice and your experience here?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I got your question initially a little bit different in a different way. So as we talk about the AI products and the monetization for AI products, there is like a small, quite simple framework that we can use that might help us to actually figure out which monetization approach would be beneficial. Cool, awesome. So, when we are talking about the AI-driven apps, there are three type of apps that we usually talk about. The first one is the relatively easy and lightweight ones. Let's name them ChatGPT wrappers. In this case, we're talking about the sort of apps that has a specific use case that they use AI for. It cannot be extended to a maximum. The outliers there are really rare because we do clearly understand how the user's life cycle look like, how the session may look like, and it's more or less standardized and predictable. So in this case, we can just move forward with the simplest possible approach when we have subscription models with trial even, and we, yeah, pretty much operate as usual because we can predict the usage, we can predict the cost, and the economy model is quite standard. Two other ones are more tricky ones, and the second one is variable usage sort of apps. It might be AI agents, it might be some sort of content generation apps. But in this case, there might be significant usage outliers that can shake your economy model. And in this case, you need to somehow limit the usage. So you give certain pricing, certain feature set for the casual users, and another price and another feature set for power users. It will help you to differentiate those users into different buckets, and yeah, avoid the situations when 10% of users are actually burning 99% of your budget. Tricky thing here also is that for some of AI apps, especially for AI generator apps, uh, there is a trap related to the users themselves. Uh, Not all the users can fully understand how to use agents, how to use picture generation, for example. So they have a lot of expectation and a lot of excitement initially, but when they start with a very basic prompts and they get very basic, very average results, they can be disappointed. But they already use the tokens. And probably if they will have trial, they will cancel trial right away. And you will have a lot of users who will get disappointed because their initial prompting skills are not really good. And this is the reality. We're still learning how to do it well. And even for us people who work in tech, people who use the new technologies every day, we're still learning, learning, and learning. And when we talk about casual users, yeah, you can imagine that the gap between the expectation, the skill, and the results might be actually massive. So in this case, it is also important to test no trial approach when we don't let users to use the tokens, to burn the tokens for free for us. Because yeah, it will create the loss on our side. In this case, yeah, we still can follow the subscription model. Preferably, I would suggest not to use trials, and also the tier system will help you to maximize your revenue and profit at the end. And the last part is the most interesting one and the most tricky one, and those are the apps that require the high intense, heavy compute for pretty much all the operations that we may do inside the app. So, for example, there is Glam AI that everybody know, or captions that do require AI for pretty much everything. So the cost that they have on their side is insane. And to cover this cost, they need to be really, really careful about what they allow users to do within the certain price range. So in this case, when we have the heavy compute involved, when the cost per session is unpredictable, and when our users can spend an insane amount of money for the mobile apps. Sometimes people can spend hundreds of dollars of tokens within the mobile apps. This never ever happened before in the mobile ecosystem. So when these situations happen, it is extremely important to have tiers, and it is extremely important to have the token limits within those tiers that will allow you to limit the usage in a range of reasonable spend and reasonable cost for you as a publisher, as a developer. Tokens in this case is a non-negotiable, and token also can act in two different roles. When we talk about such pricey products for users, sometimes subscription also can look kind of scary. We cannot offer trial, and we need to set up quite high cost. Like it might be 20, $25 per monthly subscription. That is also insane for the mobile market. So tokens in this case can be an extension for the limits for existing users who use your product, but it also can be a foot in the door opportunity for users who are hesitating and who need to have a trial first before committing for a higher price. So in this case, the in-app purchases with a separate token bundles actually might be beneficial from the initial conversion perspective and also from the upsell and the revenue per user increase. Yeah,
Yeah.
and when it comes to
Can
the
I ask you some
paywalls,
question? Natalia, can I ask you one question here? So, when we're talking about available tokens for free customers, yeah, so have you ever tested the size of tokens and number of tokens for free customers? So, if we start to increase or limit number of tokens, does it increase the conversion rate and retention? So, for example, the more free tokens we provide, do we have more active clients, yeah, after, and their LTV of customer will be high? So, have you ever tested this?
This is a very good question. I think, as we all know, 90% of all your conversions are happening on the onboarding. And nothing impacts more your conversion and your revenue at the end than your onboarding and the onboarding payroll. So, yes, we can test the free tokens. We do can test the free token limits, but the impact of those changes would be significantly lower than the paywall optimization or onboarding optimization itself. So if your onboarding or paywall doesn't perform on its max, I would not suggest you to go into these sort of optimizations because you would just waste time.
Yeah, gotcha. So rule is the same. So 80-90% of subscriptions we make with onboarding and paywall first year, yeah, without any touching
Still,
the features and yeah, gotcha.
still, that's true. Yeah. So for the paywalls, there are some examples for the light, medium, and the compute intense apps. So for the Plant ID apps or some sort of apps like this, we still can go full into yearly subscriptions, 50% discounts, and it all will be fine because you can predict the usage based on retention, based on the daily session, something like this. It's still quite safe and predictable model. When we talk about the agentic or more dynamic setup, in this case, you can see that Perplexity has a very nice, very interesting mechanic here. They do offer, oops, sorry, they do offer tiers. They do offer two products on the first tier, but on the second tier, on the max one, they offer only one, and the price is same as they offered for the yearly one for the lower tier. So because the usage, the limits on this max tier are significantly higher, they don't allow you to pay in advance for a year, and the price that they set up for the monthly is ridiculously high. Like honestly, I'm very curious to see the actual numbers, how it looks like for them, because I never ever in my life saw those kind of prices for mobile apps. Yeah, and on the token side, you can see that we also this is the screens from the app called Captions. So Captions also offers tiers, and on the max tier there is the basic one. They do offer subscription with a weekly limit of credits, and on the scale tier, they offer different bundles. So you have the subscription that are separated by amount of credits that you're getting within this subscription plan, uh, which is honestly very interesting and also very challenging to A/B test.
And according to your experience, what's the percentage of people who take the users here who take the advanced plan with so I mean the power user what you're talking about now. So what is the percentage of power user comparison to the whole number of customers?
I think it would be safe to say that the Pareto principle works here too. As for any other apps, 80% of users are casual users and 20% of users would be the power users. So at the end, we're still focusing on the casual audience at the end, and the casual users would bring you more revenue, probably would bring you less cost.
Gotcha. So, for example, if I have a app and just a standard monthly and annual subscription, so if I just start to implement this advanced type of subscription with more tokens on the board, so how do you think in average how LTV will grow and I mean average order value will grow? So according to your experience, I'm not sure that you tested it.
Uh, Okay, so when we talk about the more advanced setup, when we talk about the tokens, as I mentioned, tokens can act in two different roles. In one case, they can be a foot in the door sort of offer because you can offer a small bundle of tokens as a one-time purchase that will allow users to do quite a few operations. I would suggest you to also unlock a sort of features that user cannot fail on. So the features that don't require users to create their own prompts, create some sort of custom request because the end result would definitely depend on the quality of the input. And if the input is not very professional, the output also might be disappointed. This is not what we want to have at the end. And if we talk about the token monetization in combination with the subscriptions, what is very interesting that it is also possible still to calculate the economy model pretty much based on your classic calculation based on subscription only because the tokens would be bought mainly by the users who would have really high stickiness and who would have retention. So at the end, improving retention and focusing on engaging users is extremely important because the users who will pay for subscription, they will have higher chances to get also the token bundles on top.
Gotcha. Thank you, Natalia. And my next question, yeah, is connected to the App Store setup. Definitely when you have subscriptions, plus you have tokens, and definitely you have to pass the review. It's not easy today. And from your point of view, what the best setup here? Should we use a backend? Yeah. Now, you know the update that you can't use the second Paywall, yeah, for customers upgrade. Yeah, it's the last yeah news. So yeah, how we can collaborate with App Store just to pass reviews without any problems.
Um, I will get back to sharing my screen. Uh, so what is extremely important is to be very explicit and transparent on what you're actually showing on the paywalls. And this is specifically the thing that Apple will check. Uh, it is extremely important to share what exactly are you giving to users for the specific price in a specific set. So the set of features or the limits or the amount of tokens you are providing within a certain tier should be easily comparable. So they should understand why exactly there are tiers. What is the difference? Why one of the tiers costs 5 times more expensive than the other one? And this is also the thing that should be clearly described because if Apple review team will see that a certain product is unreasonably overpriced, they will reject it. So
Mhm.
you need to prove why this price is reasonable. You can put there, I don't know, 200 euro per month or 500 euro per month. If you can explain why, it is okay. But if it's just because we're cool guys, unfortunately, this had a high chance to be rejected. And for the token monetization, it is also extremely important to mention how many tokens, how many credits users are getting for a certain price and how the renewal works. So with the token monetization, you can manually set up the token limits, the token renewal and recharge time that might be connected to your pricing period, to your subscription period, and might be completely detached. You can have daily limits, you can have weekly limits, you can have, I don't know, hourly limits or monthly. And if, for example, you sell an annual plan, uh, and within an annual plan, you provide 500 credits per week. This should be also clearly explained on the
Mhm.
paywall and also in your terms of use. So if there are any questions and if people are getting disappointed because they didn't understand something and they are reporting to Apple that there is some kind of suspicious things happening, you can have some proof that there is actually happening. This is how the economy model look like. This is what was communicated to users explicitly. So yeah, both Apple and users understand what they are getting for. And this is also the reason why the number of credit is put in the bottom itself on the Paywall.
Is anything just something the App Store won't support with tokens or paywalls here? So what the maximum price subscription I can use? So is there any rules?
Yeah, for the maximum price, there is no limits. You can set up whatever price you want as long as you can, explain why exactly does it worth this and what are you providing for the certain price. So I don't know if you're selling the monthly subscription for luxury cars, sure, like you can sell it for whatever money you want because it's worth it. If you want to sell a calculator for 10K a month, then probably you would have some questions from Apple. So on this side, there is very clear rules, but there is no any sort of unreasonable limitations. The only thing that Apple is critically against when we talk about the token economy and the token monetization is the peer-to-peer transfer and the peer-to-peer rewards. So, for example, when you have your token economy inside the app, when you have the credit inside the app, people can get credits through the in-app purchase as a one-time purchase. Yeah, they can get a certain amount of credits as a part of their subscription. And you can also add some additional rewarding credits like retention credits when people open the app daily, the extra credits for completing certain operations, things like this. Those are completely fine. But for example, if you have some sort of apps that allows people to generate content inside. So for example, I don't know, someone generated an amazing picture and other people want to reward the users for making this amazing picture. And they want to use it, for example, there's some sort of license or whatever. In this case, you cannot create an infrastructure for one users to transfer tokens to other users in any possible way. This would be banned 100%, and there is no workaround about it. People cannot transfer tokens inside the app to each other.
Is it possible to do manually through, I don't know, backend, if a customer would just write a support ticket?
No, I honestly don't think so. I mean, if you do want to set up some sort of rewarding system for content creators, for example, like TikTok does, they don't allow other users to give creators something, but they have a legal contract that said that, hey, if you are a creator and you achieve certain performance, certain amount of views and blah, 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 then by the contract, you're getting this amount of money from the TikTok itself. So if you as a company want to reward people for generating content on your platform, for generating content inside your app, it is good. It should be legally correctly described in your terms of use, with a clear explanation how people are getting those money, how they are actually getting paid for what exactly, and so on. But it cannot be tokens. It cannot be like some sort of in-app currency.
Cool, thank you very much. And next question about just the most exciting part, the experiments and A/B testing. So before you have just a subscription price and people design of this kind of layout, now we have a tokens. So what are the best practice here? So what we should to include in calculation? Definitely your product have to calculate properly everything. Yeah, just cost of tokens and other stuff. So can you share the best practices?
This is honestly a very exciting new chapter for all of us who wants to have the mobile apps with tokens because now we still can A/B test the pricing for the fixed bundle. So if you offer 100 tokens and you want to test 500 tokens per month for $5 or for $10, that's easy. We can still use paywall builders. We can still do pretty simple tests with no any kind of extra action required. With the paywall design, for example, again, everything stays the same. But at the moment, when we do want to test the bundle setup, here we need to have the backend infrastructure prepared. And this is a thing that unfortunately is not supported by any sort of third parties at the moment. So if you want to set up the proper token economy inside your app, that means that you need to prepare your backend infrastructure ready for test, ready for ad hoc change of limits, bundles, feature setup available for each plan in advance before preferably you launch the app. So you have all the tests and infrastructure ready, or at least you have all the requirements prepared and your app setup prepared for those kind of infrastructure. Because yeah, if we do have a limit of 100 credits in a bundle number one, and we have 300 credits in a bundle number two, we need to have the technical setup ready to actually A/B test those kind of limitations, not only on the Paywall, but also inside your app, because otherwise your tasks are not valid. And this is a tricky moment because now you need to map your product IDs to the specific tier that you have inside the app with a specific set of features that you might assign to this. And instead of just operating with the product ID, that itself is confusing already for the beginners and indie developers, you need to have the whole mapping between your product ID, the bundle setup offered in a specific moment for your users, and all the history of changes for your A/B testing. Though now it's way more complex.
And how do you think, what is the best tool to calculate token consumption? For example, is it okay to continue collecting your data in amplitude and each token consumption can be calculated in amplitude, or should build something specific for this kind of calculation?
You need to set up your own custom backends that will
Mhm.
calculate the usage of the token in your own pipeline with the proper login. So you also understand that user used this amount of people made this amount of requests for this specific APIs that cost you this amount of money, and this for each single request. Sometimes for more complex setup, for more complex app within a single operation, within a single session, users can request multiple different calls, multiple different requests to absolutely different third-party systems that you use. And you need to be able to track it all and to understand how much they did cost for you. So in this moment and in this setup, the amplitude wouldn't really save you because you cannot connect amplitudes to your token usage, to your connector to, for example, OpenAI. It wouldn't it simply wouldn't work this way. So this is a moment when you need to have a data analyst, your internal BI system, the backend developers, and this whole setup in place.
Gotcha. And just I came up with one interesting question. So if I'm Indian developer, I don't really won't care with this extremely expensive and hard BI system. If, for example, I create just a subscription with tokens and even just a subscription, for AI wrapper. So what definitely I have to do? What mistakes I can make here? So do I need to limit each customer, by token, or I just don't need to carry and just make some average per user and don't care about just power users. So what are the best practice here?
Uh, I think the best practices here are pretty much the same best practices that the vibe coders need to follow. You cannot keep all the keys, all the limits on the client, because if your limits are existing only on the app side, then yeah, you're doomed. You will end up with debts that will be way higher than your potential revenue from the app, like maybe even on
I
day
have a
one.
funny
So
story about it. When just AI started to grow, we have a case with my client. We decided to release a AI wrapper, but it was done so fast that we just haven't thought about just token limitation by customer. And we have just 5-10 users per day. So acquisition wasn't successful. And we just noticed that the spend on tokens just every day increasing. And we just find out just we need to extremely pause cause any yeah consumption of tokens because yeah someone just stole the key and started to use it with his own project. And we also
Yeah.
get we was banned by OpenAI because because of some content which is not available to generate with OpenAI and the number of content like this. So it had the sexual content as well. So you have to also think about it that Open API, it's not just Open API. There is some restrictions here. So we just had an extremely high cost on it, and we also was banned by OpenAI. So yeah, this is a
Yeah.
funny story. So yeah, think twice about it.
Yeah, yeah, I know guys who got in debt for 150K because of this, and this is insane. This is like, I don't know, 5 times higher than the budget that they initially had for the whole project to kickstart. So this was absolutely insane. But there is honestly one like quite simple workaround if you really want to do something like quick. You can instead of connecting your credit card to OpenAI, for example, directly, at least I think a year ago it was possible. I'm honestly not sure if it's possible now. You can do prepayment. So you can charge your balance for like 500 euro manually per day. And if your 500 euros goes out, then your product just simply doesn't work. But it is that ideal, but it's better than getting 150K in debt. So also might be a workaround.
Cool. So this is all from my question here. So I would like just to read your questions, guys. So we have something, please write in the chat, and we will try to answer this. So I see one question: how to approach and limit the token usage of users within the grace period in the AI gender?
This is honestly a really great question because, yeah, the grace period is generally good for us as publishers, but when we talk about the heavily AI-driven apps, this might backfire massively. So I would suggest you to either set up the grace period to the minimum
Mhm.
period or simply turn it off, depending on your economy model and how much your users can actually spend within this grace period.
Yeah, I have the same feeling that I heard about this case that some users just have a special empty card, credit card
Yeah.
without any money, which allow you to subscribe for many services, and you just try to cheat and take the advantages of it. So maybe in this case, I always recommend it just to increase the size number of days in grace period. But in this case, just maybe it's better to completely turn off the grace period and because of high price of tokens. Because yeah, I'm also sure there are lots of cheaters who try to use the app, use the token, so for free. So yeah, you have to be careful about it, especially on a huge volume, because I mean when you have a small app it doesn't make a huge sense, but when you're bigger and bigger, you have to limit your cost here. Cool, we
Yeah,
can.
absolutely. And this is even more common with web funnels. And this is also one of the reasons why on web funnels there is no trials because, yeah, adding them to credit card is way more common there.
Cool. So we have a next question. For AI apps that need different tier and plans of subscriptions to cover the high AI cost, how do you recommend to display it in the paywalls? Because the more prices and options we show, more friction we're adding. That definitely true. But at the same time, we need to be transparent for users. So yeah, how to be as easy as possible here, but yeah, try to cover all the details.
The best practice at the moment is to use the segment control that will show users the tiers and that will allow users to easily navigate between the tiers. And inside the tier, you can show your offers, your different periods, for example, monthly and yearly. Again, I will get back to our screens
Mhm.
from captions and from Perplexity. This is pretty much the standard setups when we talk about the tiers. Segment control somewhere on the top, and then your plan's description on the bottom. I would say that's around yeah, 80% of apps that do have this setup also use the same approach. Uh, it is also quite common to use like a horizontal carousel elements where you can show the plans, but this is visually a little bit more heavy and it might be confusing. Uh, so yeah, I think that's why this approach is way more common. And also what you can try is the long paywalls when you offer the most popular, the most common plan, the plan that will work best for you as the main one. And on the bottom under the scroll, you can offer all the rest with an extensive description. Why do you offer them and what kind of differences are between the apps? But at the end, yeah, it's all about the A/B testing. You can have all sort of it working bad for you and something really random will work really good, or you can use all the best practices and yeah, it will perform absolutely amazing. You never know until you try, and this is why we run A/B test. This is why we get more traffic to do it faster, and this is how we scale.
And from just some basics, so the more complex paywall we have, usually it drops the conversion rate at the end of the day. Should we put lots of details about tokens, how it work, or we can be as simple as possible here? So what is your common, suggestions here?
It depends. It
No, it
depends.
doesn't work.
Even on this example, I didn't plan to make a sort of a masterclass on paywall design today, so I didn't prepare much. But even here, you can see that the feature dense, feature rich product that has a lot of functionality and is focused on users who do use all those sort of features, and they are more tech savvy and they are more, let's say, logical. In this case, Perplexity shows you the bullet points, the feature description, and a very minor visual elements because we're targeting on the logical people who would probably compare the feature setup and make some sort of logical decision. And when we look at a caption screen, there is the animation, there is video preview, all the small icons are moving, and they still follow the best practices for the content-rich apps when they do show the content all together with their plan-rich paywalls and multiple options too. So it will depend on your app, it will depend on your overall positioning, on your target audience, on sort of features you're offering, so there is no any single universal answer. You know, if you have only one feature, then yeah, you have a completely different situation from the apps that actually have 50 and can drop all the 50 features on the user right away.
Cool, thank you very much. We have a next question. Is there any way to decrease refund rates in the AI apps apart from setting usage data since people purchase coin packs, use it heavily but refund them, and this is costing too much?
Uh, this is a really good question. And I think this question is 100% related to this expectation gap that I mentioned before when people are using AI-based apps. When we promote the AI-driven apps, we do show a really great, amazing, exciting picture to users that, hey, you will get this app and your world will become colorful and I don't know, your life will become happier. But at the end, any sort of app requires users' input. If the input is not professional, if the input is not exceptionally good, you most probably will have average or even below average results at the end. So the way you can fight the refunds is you can set up a more realistic expectations that also might backfire with the conversion drop. Or you can optimize your product flow. So, for example, if your product requires some sort of, I don't know, text prompt from users, don't just process the prompt itself. Do some sort of after processing when you analyze what user asked and then translate it to the proper prompt and language. Transform the request, make it good for me into something more specific that we can actually process and make the good result of. I think this is really critical for any sort of AI apps, as long as the users education about the ways they can interact with an apps, because some things are absolutely not obvious for casual users. Even again, for us tech savvy people, we do read manuals, we do I don't know, read posts about how to prompt correctly. Anthropic releases the courses on how to do this, how to do that, because people don't understand how to take the full advantage of the product. And it is our job to teach users how to use the product so they're getting the best result.
Cool, Natalia. And I have also additional question. If I just start AI app today, what my checklist to do first? Yeah, when I indie developer and I just would like to build this kind of app. So we also mentioned, yeah, onboarding paywall. This is most important for any app, not even AI. Anything else, maybe policies, just your negotiation between AI providers and other stuff. So what I can recommend here?
Yeah. What I would recommend is to stop developing the product when the product makes you moderately ashamed, when it's moderately shameful, but you still can show it to other people. This is the moment when the MVP is done. It shouldn't be perfect. It shouldn't be even good. It should be working. That's it, points. Because when you try to make things better, you're falling into the trap when you're actually wasting time instead of testing the product
Yeah.
itself in production.
And you stumble
So
again. Yeah, for you.
yeah, just make it like
Ah,
when
okay.
it's already good enough to go to production
Sorry.
and be tested with real users. Uh, Focus on onboarding and the paywall when your product is and when you plan to launch an AI app, think in advance about the proper infrastructure for your setup. So you're not getting in debt with some random guys stealing your keys when you actually are able to set up the token-based A/B test. And you can actually clearly manage and track your spans and the user's behavior within all the third parties that you're connecting to your product.
Cool. And I also just think about this stuff about price and localization. So when, for example, we have the same price in tokens, but yeah, but usually everybody says that you have to localize your pricing. Should we do this and localize the price for each country or for the tokens especially, or we have to avoid this and just have the same price for the whole world?
Uh, my opinion on this, my take on this is until you can actually make a reliable, realistic calculation on your costs uh, for users in different locations, you're not in the position to do any kind of localization. Yes, when we talk about the classic apps, when the operational cost is pretty much flat, you can play with localization. You can have, I don't know, 5x difference between different locations, and it will actually be beneficial for you. But when every single users cost you money after you acquire them, you need to be extremely realistic about your spends and about, yeah, your economy model. Maybe in some cases you would have some countries that will contribute into covering costs for another location. But in this case, uh, yeah, you're covering losses instead of getting profits. Is it reasonable? In some cases, yes. Is it reasonable for you? That's the other question. And you need to have the proper analytics. You need to have the proper infrastructure to collect this analytics before you actually make the decision.
Mm-hmm. When we are talking about just not about pricing tests, but about the number of tokens included in the subscription, should we test this? For example, yeah, for Brazil, decrease by 3 times price plus decrease the number of tokens. So will it work or there is no any sense?
Uh, It might work. I cannot tell you again, like for each product, there would be some specific and there is no silver bullets. Uh, but again, I would suggest to focus on onboarding optimization, paywall optimization, and your overall setup optimization before you go into some country-specific things. You can focus on country-specific optimization when you actually have a luxury of having enough traffic to run statistically significant tests in each specific location you're focusing on. Till you don't have the scale, it is not a time to play with this because most probably you will benefit from some more generic tests way more.
Cool. And you also mentioned onboarding test, and I have interesting case that definitely health and fitness requires really long, yeah, a
Yeah,
personalized experience, yeah, 50 plus screens and all this kind of animation.
yeah.
Uh, what it can say about AI apps and onboarding here? So definitely, health and fitness requires this length. But when we're talking about AI filters, usually just a few screens in onboardings. And is it the same? Should we, where we can experiment here? Should we improve the onboarding here, or there is no any sense, and paywall still makes more sense for testing?
From my experience, I would say that it is more important which niche you are standing at rather than AI or no AI. Because if it's in AI-driven app in health and fitness niche, you would still need to follow health and fitness rules. If you're making AI-driven business utility, you're still playing business utility playbook. So having AI here make things more tricky in a way, but it doesn't impact the onboarding itself, from my experience at least.
Cool. Thank you very much for answering. So guys, seems like we don't have additional questions. So I also, yeah, already empty. So I answered everything what I wanted to answer. So thank you very much, Natalia, for joining and for sharing your experience here. So guys, if you have any questions and you would like to talk about your specific project and some ideas, so please be free to follow Natalia and message her. If you have the problem with payouts delay and you have to pay for tokens, but you still has to have money in App Store, please message me and we can solve this issue easily. So if you have any just ideas and you'd like to share something, please also message me on Natalia. So thank you very much for today, yeah, session. Yeah, it was a pleasure to talk with you, Natalia.
Yeah, it was the pleasure was all mine, and thank you guys.
Thank you very much.
Have
Have a
a
great
great day. Bye
bye bye.
bye.